and I don't want to reveal too much. I'll leave Randolph to it, but let me welcome to the stage both Jalen, who's actually part of our um, campus party team. He's one of the geniuses backstage. Well, I'm the funny guy wearing this hat front stage, right? So serious people make this thing happen, yeah, not me. So yes, please welcome to the stage Jalen and Randolph. Take it away, Jalen.
Hey Randolph,
Hey, Jalen, how are you doing
such a
this evening?
pleasure.
All right. So
Good, good.
you're based in Australia, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All
Based
right.
in nearby Melbourne. So I heard
Nearby.
Singapore had a election yesterday.
Oh
So and you were
yeah.
very much involved. Um,
Yes. Kind of heartbreaking though. But don't all elections do that? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We should not deviate from I guess, the main topic of our conversation.
Yeah.
So such a pleasure to have you on our stage. I think also like adding diversity as well.
Thank
To have a
you. Thank you.
performer
It's a
and to
pleasure.
talk about I guess your journey. It's quite interesting when Dave mentioned that you used to be a semiconductor engineer, and
Hmm.
now, and how did you get started in your journey as a live looper? How did that?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the thing is that just like everybody else in Singapore, I think most people in Southeast Asia are very pragmatic Asians, isn't it? So it's like we all love fun and games and all that stuff. And I love fun and games. I love soccer just like every other growing up kid. But then I also was bitten by the music bug from a very young age. But the thing was that my parents did not encourage that I take up music other than just for fun. Yeah. And the thing is that when I completed high school, which is secondary school here in Singapore, based on your grades of the typical range of languages, your English, your Mandarin, which is a compulsory second language, and of course your math and science and all that, based on these aggregates and all that, the education system in Singapore will assign you where they think you should go. And like most of my friends and peers, we actually end up going into somewhere else beyond what we are actually interested in. Now the thing is that I was interested in music, but and other than music, I was also interested in sound. I was interested very quickly interested in electronics, and I discovered that of all options available, it was only electronics. So I went into the electronics route and went through the whole process and eventually started out from being a technician into an assistant engineer and eventually became an engineer in all the various. I started out with like working in a factory repairing and servicing hi-fi equipment for Kenwood. I do not know how many people actually remember this brand. And eventually
I
went
do.
to a
Yeah.
comp. No, yeah, you do. I was Sony and all that. And then eventually I went to join a company which was called Werns Technology. And this company was a local enterprise. And this company was doing a lot of manufacturing for hard drives, PC technology. And this was where I got into the entry of electronics engineering in the PC world. And our company, that time Werns, we were part of the whole early process. I'm talking about early 90s, yeah, when we were actually competing with another company and we eventually lost, unfortunately, because that other company that won the bid to take on the technology that what eventually became MP3 was a Singapore-based company called Creative Technologies, and they were the inventors of the sound card. Yeah.
Mm.
So our company was also trying to create our own, but eventually that didn't happen. That was naturally in R&D, and that was where my area of interest was. So I was like dealing with all kinds like digital audio, analog signal conversion, and like all that stuff, the jargon and all that it comes with signal processing. But then when I was retrenched from that field, I eventually during the interim between jobs, I decided to try my luck playing music for a while just to for fun. But at the same time, also they were paying me really well. Well, long story short, basically they paid me really, really well. So I became a full time musician after that. And then in the process of that, while I was playing traditional music, drum, two guitars, one keyboard, basses, and then vocalist. At home, I was building up my home studio in the early 90s. And this was when affordable home based studios based on digital 8-track recording devices called the ADAT from a brand called Elysis became available. So for me, that was a very exciting time. This we're talking about already like somewhere just past the early 90s. Because the thing is that in the past, in order to set up a studio, a recording studio, you're going to be talking about anywhere, minimum, at least a recording standard of international quality. You're going to be easily running into like $250,000 of equipment to be able to start recording. But because
Wow.
of the advent of digital technology with PCs and all that, eventually from the mid 90s onwards, yeah, we were able to do what we take for granted that you can do nowadays with a mobile phone.
Mm.
In the 90s, that was like, wow, you mean you can actually do that?
Before we dwell into that, right,
Yeah.
because the cost is definitely an interesting thing. When
Yeah.
you mentioned that,
Yeah.
you diverged and started performing music, and they paid you so well. I think that part, I think probably a lot of musicians are very interested to know, because I think most musicians, their experience is, how do I get paid? you know.
Yeah.
So how did that happen for you? To get paid enough to be able to take off.
Yeah, I think that's a
Yeah.
very interesting question because it was a different time. Yeah, now in Singapore where I grew up in, everything is banned. Everything is banned. A lot of music that we enjoy, we don't get to hear that on the radio. A lot of music and artists that we enjoy, we don't get them to come to Singapore. Yeah, so what happens is that in the entertainment scene, in the 80s into the 90s, yeah, what happened was that I became a full-time musician from 91 all the way to 98 non-stop. I was playing 6 nights a week, every month, year after year. And I was earning pretty decent money for well, when compared to what I was earning as an engineer during those days. So my parents were those days were like, "Oh my God! After all this time that we spend money on you for your education, are going to be what? I'm gonna be a musician. What? You're gonna become a band boy?" You know what I mean? So anyway, what happened was that because of Singapore's very stringent laws of banning all this thing, right? So when people go out to nightlife here in Singapore, they want to watch a live band, an actual live band that is actually rehearsed and dressed up, and they perform the songs note for note, like the originals that you all
Yeah.
know, that you all love, but will never get to see them live in Singapore. And that was the scene in Singapore. And people are willing to pay good money. The clubs are willing to pay good money for good bands to do that. But I
Mm.
think all that changed from for the live music scene in Singapore, and I believe also around the world, when came to the late 90s when the Asian economy crisis happened. Now, when the Asian economy crisis happened, here's what killed the band scene in Singapore. It was karaoke and it was DJs. Yeah. And what was
Yeah.
interesting for me was that karaoke was a very cost-effective thing. You don't have to hire a band. You don't have to have like stage with band equipment. You don't have to have sound man. You don't have to like lighting. All you got to do is just create private rooms. And then of course the DJ, just one guy can get the job done. Everybody all dances. Everybody get drunk. Everybody is happy. Everybody gets paid. So during that time was when I stopped playing live music in 98 onwards. I went into broadcasting. And discovered for myself what it's like in the radio industry, what's it like in the production industry. That means creating and composing and production for jingles and all that stuff. There was money there. There
Mm.
was money there. It's not like live music, but you can get decently paid. And what happened was that because I spent a lot of time with my music at home, while I have like what you can see a little bit of some of my gear accumulated through the years, yeah. These were things that were basically it was like my personal mission to try and be able to recreate my favorite sounds from my favorite artists around the world. I realized I was able to do that within the studio. But the next challenge was how do you do that in a live situation? You know what I mean? And that was when the seed of the idea of live looping came about. And basically, live looping is just like if are you familiar? Do you play with things like Ableton and stuff like that? Do you
I've
do any?
watched, but that's why
Mm,
I'm so interested in this.
right.
And I'm sure like our audience is very interested as well.
Yeah.
And I have so many questions for you, but I think let's postpone those questions.
Yeah.
Do we want to hear Randolph play us a song and a
Would you?
live loop? Yeah, a demo of live looping.
Okay.
Uh, there's a bit of lag from the audience. I'm sure they're saying yes. So, um, I would like to invite you to take it away. Give us, play us a song that
Okay.
I guess when you mentioned about the live looping, and then we can
Yeah.
continue our conversation, I guess,
It is
and get some
true.
questions.
Sometimes music, right? It's better just to hear it and then you actually get it rather than to talk about music. Let's just listen
Yeah,
to music. Okay, but
yeah,
here's what I want to offer you. Okay,
yeah.
I'm going to recreate the song that actually helped me go viral around the world.
Mm.
And the song is actually the one that is done with friends that was on one particular Sunday afternoon. They decided, like, Randolph, you got to stop this. You have to do a video. You have to show the world how you do what you do. I said, why? Why would anybody be interested? No, you have to do it. So they dragged me on a Sunday afternoon. And then I said, what we're going to do? He said, oh, okay, we're going to have 3 cameras. Yeah. And I said, I don't want any special effects whatsoever. And they asked me to do this particular song. And this song has gone on to like, well, organically speaking, very interestingly, it has actually like reached over almost 3.5 million around the world. So
Wow.
some people. So anyway, the song is called "With or Without You," okay, by U2. Now I have a great admiration for this band, but especially more so for the producers. So when I play the guitar, the song is just based on 4 chords. Yeah, it's based on the D, A, B minor, G. So if let's say you've got nothing going on, this is like
Oh, this is encouraging.
and I'm gonna build a song from there. But how I'm gonna build a song is the repetition, and through the repetition, you're gonna see and hear the layers of how the song evolves. We'll speak more later on, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, here we go. so that's just an example of how the song is built up, right? And then now I'm gonna sing over it, but before I sing, I'm gonna add even more effects. So I've basically created 3 separate loops, and what is happening is this is the beginning of the first one where I did, and then together with the percussion, and that is in this loop track. Right? So you can hear. So this is live. I'm gonna sing now. See the stone set in your eyes. Feel the thought twist in your side. I'm waiting for you. Slide of heaven. Just a fate on a bed of nails, she begs me away. I'm still waiting for you, with or without you, with or without you. To the storm, we reached the shore. You gave it all, but I won't know. Waiting for you, with or without you, with or without you. I could live, with or without you. And you give yourself away, and you give yourself away, and you give, oh, you give yourself away.
Woo!
All right, thank you very much.
Oh my god, that is so
Okay.
good.
Thank you. Okay, you probably have some questions, and I think we use this opportunity to explain. But
Isn't he
I would like to leave
amazing?
you.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
just getting some feedback from the audience. Isn't he amazing?
Thank
Um,
you.
Randolph, it looks as if this is what I'm getting from what you
Okay.
explained. It looks as if every time you record a sound, like you record
Yeah.
the guitar and it goes into a loop, and
That's
then you
right.
record a sound with I really love when you were dragging that and that sound effect was like,
Oh.
oh, I yeah,
Okay, so basically, if it was
yeah,
a natural, unaffected sound, the guitar with the spectrum will go like that.
yeah.
But then, of course, if I go through like all the signal processing, that means take the sound and just change it and all that, you create things like.
Wow.
Does that make you
So
go
good.
crazy?
Oh my god.
You know what's interesting? Because actually, if you actually have the time and you go to my YouTube, and you look for that white room with three cameras angles, right? You will notice a lot of the comments are from people from all around the world. They want to know, how do I create this sound, which is basically, if let's say for example, if I were to use this unaffected sound on the guitar, yeah. So I'm playing a D at 9 chord, would be like dry as it is, right?
Mm,
Now the moment I add gear 1, it becomes like this. Can you
nice.
hear that? I
Yeah,
shift
yeah.
into gear 2.
Wow, wow. And when you talk about the gear, right? What is
Yeah.
that you're changing? What do you call that? Is
Yeah, okay, you
that
can see
equipment?
these white pedals over here on, I hope the
Yeah,
camera can show you. Okay,
sort of. Yeah,
these are what you call the Eventide H9. The Eventide H9s are multi-effect devices, and it's from the company from America. They call themselves Eventide. They're the kings of signal processing. There was previously, when they became very popular, starting out from the mid 70s, they were creating sounds that you don't hear anywhere else, and it was used in only very renowned studios around the world who want to be able to create these sounds and all that. So you can hear the sounds that are created in this Eventide in a lot of recordings, which we don't realize actually. And so basically what it does to be able to create the intended effect is it's taking the signal, the sound, turning it into an echo, and then turning it, going from the echo into, let's say, maybe a reverb, and then all that goes through a pitch shifter, which is like a voice changer. You know how you can change your voice to a Darth Vader, or
yeah,
you can change your voice into chipmunks, that kind of thing, right? When you combine all that with a single sound, any sound, you change the character of the sound of anything, including drums, vocals, trumpet, violin, even just making noise whatsoever. You can
yeah.
turn the guitar into like making it sound like rain, for example. Yeah. For example, I'll just give you this example. So let's say, for example, if I did this, just harmonics itself. This is what it sounds like.
Wow. It seems as if like the possibilities are limitless.
Yeah.
And is that what you mean by literally you can be a one man band? Like
Yes.
last time you have to have all these people. Now you could, one person. And you mentioned there was only 4 chords, which is really hopeful
That's right.
for like
Yeah.
starting musicians. Like I only know how to play
Mm.
2 chords, so I need to
Oh,
learn two
that's
more.
okay. Not bad.
So
2 chords also can be done also. Okay, so I'll give you an example of a 2 chord song, yeah? Okay? I'll play one right now. Two
go
chord
for
song,
it.
okay? Okay, the 2 chords I think I'll select is A minor to G.
Amazing, amazing. I feel so hopeful. Look at these amazing, amazing two chord songs.
Two chords, so you can take
Yeah.
it anywhere. So basically, the thing is that like when, let's say for example, like what I'm doing right now is like, let's say a typical example of, let's say like for example, if I'm supposed to compose a jingle.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like, so can you create a jingle? We want it to be very high class. We want it to be very sophisticated. We want it to be very soothing, or we want it to be very energetic. You know what I mean? So things like
mm.
that. So I can just say like, okay, two chords. Okay, so let's say for example, so can we do it? Can you make it more romantic sound? Okay, maybe let's try this. Can you make it a little bit more lively? Okay, okay, let's try this. Two chords, yeah? So now we need a rhythm. Okay, okay, okay. Now we need the bass. How about a melody? Okay, okay, okay. Let's see what can we do. Okay, can you do it in reggae style? Also can also. You know what I mean? So the thing is that it
Nice.
all depends on the situation. So the thing is that as a music lover, then I discovered, actually I realized when you do the recording studio thing, and especially when you start to experiment with like live looping, yeah, you start to realize and hear songs in a different way, because you realize actually every song seems to fall within a very fixed set of progressions. But what is different is whether it's become the song, let's say based on four chords. It's whether you play it slow, you play it jazzy, or you play it like a classical kind of arrangement, or you play it like very ambient, or you play it like a rock. And the difference is only just the rhythm and the sound. But the fundamentals of the music is actually still based on, if every, you don't have to read music, but if you understand do re mi fa sol la ti do.
So what I'm hearing is, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
The barrier of entry now for musicians is lower
Oh.
because last time you have to like, be this really
Yeah.
amazing, I don't know,
Good point.
musician.
Good point. Good
So
point.
now with two chords, you can do really amazing performance. With four chords, look at that. And
You're absolutely
also
right.
yeah, and also the possibilities of the kind of sound, of the kind of music that you produce is the possibilities have really opened up.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Actually, the thing is that okay, so here's this very interesting thing. Remember, I mentioned to you like when it came into the late '90s and the Asian economy crisis, basically made a lot of big clubs decide to let go all the live musicians, all the live bands, but they turn their business into based on karaoke and DJs. So of course, as a musician, somewhat, my fellow musicians would be like, how come people enjoy a DJ's music? There's no, you see, he mixed between two songs and it's like slightly out of tempo, slightly out of tune, that kind of thing. But then I was watching, I was not listening only. I was watching also. When you watch a dance floor and then you watch like, you know what? Actually, if you think about it, right, music should be enjoyed by everybody and anybody, regardless of whatever creed or race, language, or religion or culture. But you know what? If you tell people, "Oh, look, I'm playing this scale, that scale, this mode, that mode," it's called jazz, it's harmonic minor, it's neoclassical, whatever you want to call it. You know what? Most people who are on the dance floor, most people who are listening to music on the radio, they really don't know any of this. They don't care. They only know feels good, if it sounds good. That's all that matters, you know. And so I realized the DJ is playing his mix of two vinyls, not based on musical harmony theory. It is based on feeling.
And
Now, the thing is that regardless of race, language, religion, I tell you, there's one rhythm that everybody anywhere around the world can recognize. And the rhythm is everybody knows. There was a musician friend of mine from England, Adrian Leck, a very, very world class, renowned musician. He told me, say, you know what's wonderful about the techno beat? It is actually the most simplest beat anybody can follow. And the reason why it's so simple is because it's just like marching. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. So people who do not know how to dance, they still know how to do this.
Randolph,
So
I have a
without,
question. Sorry, go for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So one more thing. So the thing is that I realize when you break down music, right? When you break down music, it's down to sound. Music in its component, in its most primitive form, is actually based on two things. It is based on rhythm and melody. Now I ask you, based on rhythm and melody, right? Which one is king?
My personal, it's kind of hard because I think both of them is important.
Yeah, but
Because
if I
if
give you a
yeah,
choice,
okay.
if I give you a choice, which one would you pick?
Um,
Rhythm or melody?
I would pick melody personally.
Okay, melody, of course, because we like a song based on that. But did you know, if you think about it, right, you can sing out a tune, but if you sing in perfect time, right, it still sounds like music. But if you sing a perfect melody, but you got very bad sense of time, right,
Oh,
bad sense of rhythm, it still sounds bad.
yep.
So that's why, and a lot of music, right, it's a lot of rhythm based. And it comes down to the most basic form kind of thing. And that's why I have a lot of respect. I love musicians, I love music, I love great music, but I also have a lot of love for people who are like punk musicians. I have a lot of love for people who are beatboxers. Beatboxers are especially notorious. They are the punks of the 21st century. They don't
Yeah.
know. Punk rock is based on the culture of like, I never went to school. My parents never sent me for music classes. I only know three chords only. I only know two chords. Like, okay, see? I only know two chords, but I can play with all my heart and scream my heart out, and still millions will dance to it. The beatboxer is different. I don't even know how to play an instrument. I only know how to, you know, I only know how to
Wow.
do that,
Yeah.
and still people will move, and that is, yeah, I find it's very powerful. Yeah,
Yeah, no, totally. Like, watching it, I think I agree with you. At the end of the day, music is sort of like a communication to the soul. It's not like, oh, whether you're hitting the note correctly. like what you
Yeah.
mentioned, like
Yeah.
classical, or you have to do all these notes right.
No, no. Yeah,
But
yep, yep,
whether
yep.
that music connects to you on a
Makes you
soul
feel.
level,
Makes
yeah,
you
what makes
feel a
you feel,
certain thing.
yeah,
Yeah. That's why when people ask me, said, so are you classically trained and all that? So here's the truth I want to share with you. Yeah. So I mentioned earlier on that when I was a teenager, I loved music so much and all that. So I was begging my parents can buy me a guitar or buy me a piano. And of course, before giving me a tight slap, they said, you know what, you better study hard, okay? And don't go into this music and become a band boy kind of thing. Only people who are
cannot study.
troublemakers,
Ah,
yeah, yeah. So the thing is basically like music at the end of the day, right? I realize it's actually like a language. You notice you don't even need to know the exact lyric of the song, no? But you hear the melody, and then half the time, like Jimi Hendrix got one song where it's going like, "Excuse me while I kiss the sky," but all my life I always heard it as "Excuse me while I kiss this guy." I was like, "What?" you know. And then like but the funny thing is that you develop your own emotional, intellectual, whatever connection. Some people even want to go cliche and say it's a spiritual thing. Yeah, whatever. Music is supposed to be like a sort of like the cliche again, the universal language. You hear a sound. There was a guy, I believe it was Stravinsky. Stravinsky was a man who said it. All the world's greatest symphonies that man has created still cannot replicate the universal beauty of understanding without words and language, right? You can hear a woman laugh and you know she's happy. You can hear a woman cry with no words and you know it's a sad kind of. And it's the
yeah,
same thing with a child. You see any kid, whether of whatever race, you can tell whether the child is happy or sad just by the sound of it because it's universal.
yeah, I
That's what I
agree.
feel. Yeah,
Mm.
and those are things that I discover for myself as you experiment more and more with sounds. Yeah, things like
Yeah,
that.
totally agree. Because we're running out of time, I've a few
Okay.
questions. I think the audience feel free to ask questions as well.
Yeah.
I would imagine maybe the audience might want to know, especially budding musicians. It's such a
Mm.
challenging thing. Like any tips from you, especially like someone who is, who wants to take their work, probably to the audience, or any tips from you for a musician.
Mm. Okay, I think right now in this current COVID-19 times, right, is actually for me, well, believe it or not, I'm actually having a great time. I'm having a great time. And the reason is because um, people are forced to stay home under very unfortunate circumstances, of course, around the world. But people are connecting on a deeper level online. Yeah. So the thing is that musicians these days, I think if you want to play music, you just about almost anything else that you want to pursue in life, yeah, you have to decide for yourself and remind yourself to ask yourself the questions again and again. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you doing what you're doing? Is it because that's what your parents tell you that you're supposed to do? Is that what your community says that, oh, you're supposed to be a son of a tailor man, you're supposed to take over your dad's business, so you become a tailor? You must be a very good tailor, I bet. Yeah. Or is it because there is something else that you have seen, heard, read about, and you said to yourself, I want to do that? Right now on the internet, almost anything and everything is possible. And because we are connected around the world 24/7, believe me, if you do something out of love, out of joy, not because of money, you will always have an audience and you will always have somebody out there who may not necessarily connect with you to tell you directly, but you will be surprised that what you do that they saw inspires them. Like, oh my God, he's doing that. I can also do the same. I want to do the same. And I can say this firsthand because that is exactly what I experienced with my videos that went viral.
Mm.
I got invited to play in some very exotic places around the world. I went as far as like South America, which took almost 2 days flight from Singapore to Chile, to Argentina, and also to Ecuador. And all because they saw my video, and then because they only speak Spanish, they cannot interact with me. They invite me over to their nations to perform for them, and then to do conduct clinics and stuff like that. And it's a joy to see so many people find their own joy. And the thing is that you don't have to be like me. You just like take an idea of what I am doing and then do your own thing. And that's what's wonderful. It's no longer about right or wrong. Anything
Awesome.
can be possible as long as you find joy and you radiate inspiration to other people. I think that's a
I love
great
that.
thing.
So I guess the advice is for musicians out there. I mean, do it because of joy, and you never know. Maybe whatever work you put out might inspire someone else.
True,
We
true.
have a question from the audience.
Okay, sure.
The Mac Marketeer asks, "How can a young musician get started in looping?"
Ah, how can a young musician get into looping? Well, I run the movement, which has been going on since early this last decade, and I call it Live Loop Asia. Live Loop Asia is something. It's an online group on Facebook. It's a Facebook group called Live Loop Asia, and over there is like it is an extension of the movement that I organize every 2 years, every biannual, every 2 years. I organize the Live Loop Asia Festival Tour, and that is to travel from city to city, nation to nation across Asia, and then meet other talented people. But the platform of performance incorporates the inclusion of people of all walks of life, people who are doing it for fun, people just curious, or people want to do it for art, for entertainment, or for profession. So yeah, that's a great way to get involved. Just come in and then you ask any question. No question is too newbie for anybody.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool. That's cool. So that's a good place, like Live Loop Asia, for anyone
yeah.
who is curious about live looping. I'm one of them, and want to find out more about that. Um, I guess the next question I have for
Mm.
you is what's next for you? What are you excited about? Any projects or any collaboration that you're looking forward to?
Oh, good question. Now the thing is that Live Loop Asia is based on the three elements of. I'm not talking about musical style or whatever. Live Loop Asia, the three elements that form the spirit of what Live Loop Asia is about: creativity, technology, and community. So basically, everything that I've done so far in this last session is everything is only possible because of creativity, which actually every one of us has and is entitled to. Technology, because it is available today. The technology that is now available on my pedal board, including the Eventide pedals, was something in the past only if you're very rich then you can afford. Now, these devices are available in so many formats, including a mobile phone. You look into the mobile, you look for your app, and you type Looper, you will find so many apps Looper. You can experiment with that, and many of them are available for free. In the past, it would be like ridiculously expensive. Now, creativity, technology, community. Community because everything that we are because we are affected by other people around us. Everything that I learned was also through the osmosis process of years of learning from other people and people exchanging. I realized when I was invited in 2010, when the online group called the Loopers Delight, an international live looping community that organizes annual festival. They saw me online doing what I was doing with my guitar, with onboard iPhone, and onboard iPhone I'm playing like multi-instrumental stuff kind of thing. They brought me over. Now when I went over there in Santa Cruz, North California to perform, I was a headliner there. And the thing is that I experienced something. The headliner doesn't mean big deal that you're the best. No, no, no. It is their way of saying they celebrate that there is somebody from Asia come all the way here and we want to watch and observe and learn from him. I was so humbled. They want to learn from me. When in actual fact I was waiting to steal from them. You know? Because
Yeah.
so many people were doing amazing things that we don't see here. You know? So through all this creativity, technology, and community, which is Live Loop Asia, everybody from amateur to professionals and artists, designers, all come together, exchange, and share.
Amazing, amazing. Like it's interesting. So I would want to ask you, like, sort of unpack further, right?
Yeah,
On I guess maybe running a top, maybe one or two elements, technology. So suppose someone who's getting started, what's like the
yeah,
most basic thing they sort of have to get to do live looping?
that they
Most
have to
basic
get right.
setup.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I'll show you which one I was using before I went crazy. Just a moment, huh?
How's everybody doing? Hope it's such a nice way to end, like to have an intermission of a performer after hours and hours of um, calls and talks. So I think this is really refreshing to have Randolph in
Okay,
here.
so can you see this device here?
Yeah, let me just zoom you in. Yeah.
Okay. Now this device is what's called the DL4. The DL4 is from the manufacturer called Line 6. Now this device, I believe, was actually released commercially in 1999. This
Mm.
device allows you to do live looping. Because it's so old right now. It's still so cool, and you can find it in the second-hand market. And my promise is this: if you play with this device and you create live looping with this, everything else is just basically your mind thinking, what if I had two of this? What if I had three of this? What if I had four, five, six? Then the rest of your creativity will expand. My album that was released in 2010 called CCCD, long story why it's called CCCD, was an album that was a non-stop performance, like a DJ set, but it's live looping, and everything that was done in that particular album was performed on this one pedal itself, just the guitar
Wow.
and this. And because of that album that I released in 2000, end of 2010, 2011 to 2012, I traveled around the world to participate in many festivals, played in so
Awesome.
many places around the world, and it was great way, just this pedal alone. So what is available today, right now on my pedalboard, is a whole different ball game altogether. It's like basically an expansion of a simple idea. You can find something like this, or you can find something else, like from Boss or from TC Electronic. There are lots. You want to find out more, like what is
Mm.
cost effective, then just get into Live Loop Asia, and I'm sure myself, if not others, will be very happy to share with you.
Sounds good. Unfortunately, we are running out of time.
Okay, time flies, huh?
Yeah, I have so many questions for you, but unfortunately, we're running out of time.
Yep.
So I will invite Dave back in to sort of
Okay.
close the session for us, and not Dave, sorry, Vivian, and
Vivian.
yes, you're gonna meet Vivian. Let's get later in to
Hi, hey Randolph.
Hello.
That
Hey,
was
Vivian. How you doing?
amazing. I'm
Thank you
good.
so
That was
much.
so
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
The last time that I watched you live was actually 2015.
Oh my
Like
God,
as
time
an
flies,
audience.
huh?
Yes, as an audience. Of course I saw you
Thank you.
play in between them, but that was amazing. Thanks so much for being
Thank
with
you
us and
so
doing
much.
this session.
Thank you. Okay, so I'd like to say on behalf of everybody here, based here in Singapore, my name is Randolph Arriola, and I'd like to say thank you to everybody who made this event possible for Campus Party Australasia digital version. And I hope we all connect along the way. This is probably just an introduction all over again. And along the way, I look forward to further interaction, to exchange and sharing of everything under the creativity, technology, and community in Live Loop Asia. And I hope to meet you all again. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, Randolph, for
Cheers,
gracing our
Jalen. Cheers,
stage over
Vivian.
here.
Cheers, Dave.
Bye.
Cheers.
Hey, so where did Jalen go? Fun fact, I never saw Jalen so happy. So